You feel it, don't you? That quiet pressure in your chest, that constant sense that something isn't right, even when your life looks perfectly fine from the outside. You wake up, check your phone, scroll through other people's lives, and before the day even begins, you already feel behind. Not behind in time, behind in life. Like everyone else figured something out, and you didn't, and so you start running. You run toward success, toward money, toward status, toward love. You run toward a version of life that you believe will finally fix you. You tell yourself, if I just get that job, if I just make more money, if I just find the right person, then I'll finally feel okay. But no matter how far you go, that feeling never really leaves. Because the problem was never your life. The problem is the way you've been taught to see it. From the moment you were born, you were thrown into a world that is unpredictable, unstable, and completely indifferent to what you want. And your mind, in its attempt to protect you, made a decision, a silent one, a dangerous one. It decided, if I can just control everything, I will finally be safe. So you began to chase control. Control over your future. Control over how people see you. Control over outcomes, over success, over love. And slowly, without realizing it, you built your entire life around something you were never meant to have. Because here's the truth. You cannot control most of what happens to you, not the economy, not people's opinions, not whether someone stays or leaves, not even your own health in the long run. And yet, we spend almost all of our mental energy trying to do exactly that. We worry about what people think, about what might go wrong, about the future that doesn't exist yet. We replay the past, a ghost we cannot touch, and we fear the future, a dream we cannot control. And in doing so, we miss the only thing that is actually real, this moment. Look around you. People rushing through the streets, eyes locked on glowing screens, hearts racing with anxiety and caffeine. They're moving fast, but where are they going? Are they free? Or are they just running faster on the same invisible treadmill? This is the trap, the one almost nobody escapes. We are constantly chasing a better version of life, while quietly rejecting the one we already have. We believe happiness is somewhere ahead of us, somewhere in the future, somewhere outside of ourselves. And that belief keeps us stuck. Because if happiness is always out there, then this moment will never be enough. And if this moment is never enough, your life will never be enough. This is not just a personal problem, it's a cultural one. We live in a world that constantly tells you, do more, be more, have more. And if you don't, you're falling behind, so you chase. More money, more attention, more validation, hoping that eventually you'll feel complete. But instead, you feel more anxious, more restless, more empty. Because this system was never designed to satisfy you. It was designed to keep you chasing. And the more you chase, the further you drift away from yourself. So let me ask you something. What if the problem isn't that you don't have enough? What if the problem is you've been looking in the wrong place this entire time? Because there is a line that most people never see. A line that divides your entire existence into two worlds. On one side, everything you cannot control. On the other, the only thing that truly belongs to you, your mind. And if you spend your life on the wrong side of that line, you will never find peace. So before we go any further, you need to understand something simple but brutally difficult to accept. You cannot control the world, but you can learn how to stop needing to. To understand how to find peace in a world like this, you need to understand how your life is actually structured. Not the way society describes it, but the way it truly is. Your entire existence is divided into two domains, two sides of a line that runs through your life every single day, and almost everyone you see is living on the wrong side of that line. On one side, there is the external world. This includes everything outside of your control: the economy, the weather, the political climate, the actions of other people, the opinions they form about you, whether they stay or leave, whether they respect you or ignore you. It even includes your own body in the long run, your health, your aging, and eventually, your death. This is the part that's hard to accept. You do not have true control over any of it. You can influence things, you can try, you can act, but the outcome is never fully yours. You can eat perfectly, train every day, and still get sick. You can be loyal, honest, and kind, and still be betrayed. You can work harder than anyone around you and still be overlooked. And yet, we build our entire sense of happiness on these things. We tell ourselves, "I'll be okay when things go my way." But what we're really doing is gambling with our peace of mind. Because if your happiness depends on things you don't control, then your happiness is unstable by definition. It can be taken from you at any moment. And that's exactly why you feel anxious. Because deep down you know this. You know that everything you rely on is fragile. So you try harder. You chase more. You attempt to lock things in place. You try to control how people see you, how your future unfolds, how life behaves. But life doesn't negotiate. It doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't care how much effort you put in. And the more you try to force it to behave, the more frustrated you become. This is the source of most human suffering, the desire for the uncontrollable to be controlled. But there is another side to that line, the side most people ignore. The only place where you actually have power, your internal world. This is where everything changes. Your thoughts, your interpretations, your reactions, the meaning you assign to what happens around you. This is the only domain that is truly yours. No one can enter it without your permission. No event can define it unless you allow it. This is your fortress, and most people abandon it. They leave it unguarded, while they spend all their energy trying to control the outside world. They try to fix life instead of fixing their perspective, and because of that, they remain trapped. But the moment you shift your focus, everything begins to change. When you stop asking, "How can I control what happens?" and start asking, "How do I respond to what happens?" you take your power back. This is what the Stoics understood thousands of years ago. They lived in a world far more brutal than ours: war, slavery, political chaos, and yet they developed a mindset that allowed them to remain calm in the middle of it all. Not because their lives were easy, but because they stopped depending on things outside themselves for peace. A man like had access to everything most people spend their lives chasing: power, wealth, influence. He could command armies, shape nations, and live in absolute luxury. And yet, in his private writings, he reminded himself of something simple. None of those things guarantee peace. Because peace does not come from what you have. It comes from how you think. If your happiness depends on external validation, it will always be inconsistent. It will rise and fall based on things you cannot control. But if it comes from your character, your ability to remain steady regardless of what happens, then it becomes something stable, something unshakable. This doesn't mean you stop caring about life. It doesn't mean you stop pursuing goals, building a career, or improving your situation. It means you stop depending on those things to feel complete. You can want success without needing it. You can enjoy relationships without being destroyed by them. You can pursue growth without tying your identity to the outcome. This is what real freedom looks like. Not control over the world, but independence from it. When you internalize this, something shifts. You stop reacting to everything. You stop taking things personally. You stop chasing validation. And for the first time, you begin to experience a kind of calm that doesn't depend on circumstances. You begin to realize that your thoughts shape your reality far more than external events ever could. A situation is not inherently good or bad. It becomes good or bad based on how you interpret it. Rain is just water falling from the sky. It only becomes a problem when you expect sunshine. And most of your suffering comes from expectations that reality never agreed to meet. So the question is no longer, how do I make life easier? The question becomes, how do I become stronger than what life throws at me? Because once you do that, you stop being a victim of circumstances, and you start becoming the architect of your experience. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding discomfort. They build layers of convenience, distraction, and habit to protect themselves from anything that feels difficult. Comfort becomes the goal. Ease becomes the standard. And slowly, without realizing it, they become dependent on it. But comfort has a hidden cost. The more you rely on it, the weaker you become. Because the moment life stops being comfortable, and it always does, you have nothing left to stand on. This is something the Stoics understood deeply. They didn't just talk about strength. They trained it, not in a gym, not in perfect conditions, but in discomfort. A man like one of the wealthiest individuals in Rome would deliberately step away from his luxury. He would wear simple clothing, eat basic food, and live as if he had nothing, not because he had to, but because he wanted to know something. He wanted to know, is this what I was afraid of? And the answer was always no. Because most of what you fear losing, you don't actually need. You've just become used to it, and what you're really afraid of is the feeling of not having it. This is the trap of modern life. You don't just want things, you feel like you need them. Your phone, your comfort, your routines, your validation, and the more you depend on them, the more control they have over you, because anything you cannot live without owns you. This is why voluntary discomfort is so powerful. It breaks that dependency. It forces you to confront the idea that you are enough, even without everything you've built around yourself. When you choose discomfort, even in small ways, something changes. You become less reactive, less fragile, less afraid. You begin to realize that your strength was never in your circumstances. It was always in your ability to handle them. And that realization is dangerous, in a good way, because once you know you can survive without comfort, you stop chasing it so desperately. You stop organizing your entire life around avoiding pain, and instead, you start building resilience. Most people think freedom comes from having more money, more security, more control, but real freedom comes from needing less. Because when you need less, there is less that can be taken from you. This doesn't mean you reject the world. It means you stop depending on it. You can enjoy comfort without being controlled by it. You can have things without being owned by them. And that changes everything. Because now, when something goes wrong, and it will, you don't collapse. You adapt. You stay steady. You remain grounded in something deeper than circumstances. The Stoics had a practice for this. They called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. They would imagine losing everything, not to scare themselves, but to prepare themselves. To understand that even in the worst-case scenario, they would still be okay. That their core self their character, their awareness, their ability to respond would remain untouched. And once you truly understand that, fear starts to lose its grip. Because fear is not about what happens. It's about what you think you won't be able to handle. But when you train yourself to face discomfort, instead of avoiding it, you prove that belief wrong again and again, until eventually it disappears. And in its place, you find something else. A quiet confidence, a kind of inner stability that doesn't depend on perfect conditions. You stop asking life to be easy, and you start becoming someone who can handle anything. This is where real growth begins, not when everything is going well, but when you realize that even when it isn't, you're still in control of yourself. And that's all you ever truly needed. Most people treat time as if it were infinite, as if there will always be more of it tomorrow. You protect your money. You guard your possessions. You get angry when something small is taken from you. But when it comes to time, the only thing that truly belongs to you, you give it away freely. To distractions, to meaningless tasks, to people who don't value it, to thoughts that lead nowhere, and you do it every single day. A man like once wrote that it is too late to save what remains when you reach the dregs of the cask. When the bottle is nearly empty, what is left is small and of poor quality. Most people don't understand this until it's already too late. They live as if they have an endless supply of time, wasting their best years chasing things that won't matter when it's almost gone. You tell yourself that you'll start living later, when things calm down, when you have more money, when you have more freedom, when the timing is right. But that moment never arrives, because the future you're waiting for doesn't exist. It's a projection, a promise your mind keeps making to justify not being present now. And while you wait, life moves. Every hour that passes is gone. Every moment you spend worrying about things outside your control is a moment you will never get back. Every second you trade for anxiety, distraction, or comparison is a piece of your life that disappears forever. The Stoics didn't see death as something far away. They saw it as something happening right now. Every breath you take is already in the past. Every moment you experience is immediately gone. You are not moving toward death. You are moving with it. And once you truly understand that, everything changes, because suddenly the things you thought mattered don't feel as important anymore. The opinions of strangers, the pressure to impress, the constant need to prove something, it all starts to look small, temporary, irrelevant. What matters is how you use the time you have while you still have it. Not tomorrow, not later, now. But most people can't do that because they are trapped in a cycle of distraction, comparison, and endless desire. They are always looking ahead, chasing a better version of life, while ignoring the only version that actually exists. This is why they feel empty, not because they don't have enough, but because they are never present enough to experience what they already have. You can walk through a city, sit in a quiet room, have a conversation, or be completely alone, and miss all of it, because your mind is somewhere else. In the future, in the past, in a version of life that isn't real. And when you live like that, time disappears without ever being felt. The Stoic perspective is simple but brutal. The present moment is the only thing that actually belongs to you. It is the only place where life exists. Everything else is either memory or imagination, and if you fail to engage with it, you lose your life without even realizing it. This doesn't mean you stop planning. It doesn't mean you stop improving your situation. It means you stop postponing your life. Because there is no point in reaching a future where you finally have time if you never learned how to write. The value of your life is not measured by how long it is, but by how deeply it is lived. You can live for decades and never truly be present, or you can live fully in a single moment and experience more than most people ever do. The difference is awareness. The difference is whether you are actually here or somewhere else. So ask yourself something honestly. If this was your last hour of consciousness, would you be using it the way you are right now? Not as a dramatic thought, but as a clear one. Because one day, it will be. And on that day, everything you thought you had time for will no longer matter. What will matter is how you lived when you had the chance. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't wait for life to become perfect. They didn't wait for the chaos to disappear. They accepted reality as it was and chose to be fully present within it. They stopped fighting the flow of life and started moving with it. Because once you accept that time is limited, you stop wasting it. You stop chasing things that don't matter. You stop giving your attention to things that drain you. You stop living as if there will always be more. And you start treating each moment as something that cannot be replaced. Because it can't. So stop waiting. Stop delaying your life for a future that may never come. Stop trading your time for things that don't deserve it. Because the truth is simple. The time you have left is already less than you think. And what you do with it is everything. You've seen it now. The illusion of control, the trap of chasing, the weight of comfort, the reality of time. But none of this matters. If you don't ask yourself one final question, who are you when everything is stripped away? Not your job, not your money, not your status, but you without all of it. Because in the end, there's only one thing you ever truly own: your character. The way you think, the way you respond, everything else is temporary. Even someone like Marcus Aurelius, with all his power, reminded himself that none of it truly belonged to him, that it could all disappear at any moment, and that the only thing that mattered was the state of his mind. Most people never realize this. They build their identity on things that can be taken away. And when those things change, they feel like they've lost themselves. But you are never those things. You are just attached to them. And that attachment is what creates fear. The fear of losing, the fear of change, the fear of not being enough. But when you let go of that, something shifts. You stop needing the world to be a certain way. You stop chasing validation. You stop performing. And for the first time, you become steady. Not because life is easy, but because you're no longer fragile. That's freedom. Not controlling everything, but not needing to. Not having a perfect life, but finally being at peace with the one you have. And when you reach that point, you realize something powerful. Nothing outside of you was ever going to fix what was happening inside. So here's the question I want you to answer honestly. If life took everything from you tomorrow, your comfort, your status, your security, who would you still be? Would there be anything left worth respecting? Write your answer in the comments. And if you're ready to build a mind that no situation can break, subscribe now.